King George III (1738–1820) was the monarch of Great Britain during the American Revolution. His policies, decisions, and responses to colonial resistance played a central role in the conflict that ultimately led to the formation of the United States. Though often portrayed as a tyrant by American revolutionaries, George III saw himself as a defender of British authority and sought to maintain control over the colonies. British rule and colonial grievances. When George III ascended to the throne in 1760, Britain was engaged in the 7 Years' War, which left the empire with significant debt. To recover financially, Parliament enacted a series of taxes on the American colonies, including the Sugar Act, 1764, the Stamp Act, 1765, and the Townshend Acts, 1767. These measures, designed to raise revenue and assert British control, were met with growing resentment in the colonies. George III and his government believed that the colonies should contribute to the costs of their own defense and governance. However, the colonists who lacked direct representation in Parliament argued that taxation without representation was unjust. This dispute set the stage for rising tensions and resistance movements, such as the Boston Tea Party in 1773. The road to revolution. In response to colonial protests and defiance, the British government enacted the Coercive Acts, 1774, known in the colonies as the Intolerable Acts, which sought to punish Massachusetts for the Boston Tea Party and restore order. These measures further alienated the colonists, leading to the convening of the First Continental Congress in 1774, where colonial leaders sought to assert their rights while remaining under British rule. As conflict escalated, the battles of Lexington and Concord in April 1775 marked the beginning of armed resistance. George III responded by declaring the colonies to be in a state of rebellion in August 1775 through the Proclamation of Rebellion, effectively rejecting any peaceful reconciliation. George III's role in the war. Unlike some British politicians who favored conciliation, George III remained steadfast in his belief that the American colonies must be subdued. He supported military efforts to crush the rebellion and rejected the Olive Branch Petition, a final attempt by the Continental Congress in 1775 to seek peace while affirming loyalty to the Crown. As the war progressed, British forces faced increasing difficulties, with key defeats at Saratoga in 1777 and Yorktown in 1781. Public opinion in Britain began shifting, and Parliament became divided on continuing the costly war. In 1782, after Lord North's government fell, Britain moved toward ending the conflict, culminating in the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which recognized American independence. Legacy of George III and the Revolution. Although George III is often remembered as the monarch who lost the American colonies, he continued to rule Britain for decades after the war. His reign saw further conflicts with France, the rise of the British Empire, and personal struggles, including bouts of mental illness. In American history, George III remains a symbol of British oppression, frequently cited in revolutionary rhetoric and the Declaration of Independence as an unjust ruler. However, modern historians recognize that his actions were shaped by the political context of the time, and he was not solely responsible for the policies that led to revolution. Ultimately, George III's reign marked a turning point in world history, leading to the birth of the United States and influencing democratic movements worldwide.